Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. It's Chad Hyams here, Bob Stewart over there. Bob, how are you doing today?
I haven't seen you in a while, Chad.
Nope.
I haven't seen you for a really long time.
You missing me?
Maybe the longest time I haven't seen you in 5 years.
At least. Yes.
How long have we been doing this? We've been doing this 6 years. So that was definitely the longest I haven't seen you in 6 years, I think.
Yeah. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks, Bob Stewart. You went to...
I went on spring break vacation with my wife and kids, and we did that this year in Arizona.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Taking a spring training game, or were you there in the season that already started?
No, spring training is already over. Yeah, the regular season already started. So we took in a Phoenix Suns basketball game, which my boys absolutely loved. Our friend Ben Kinney helped me get some nice tickets for that, and then we just played at the pool and ate some nice steak dinners.
Awesome. I too.
What'd you do while we were gone?
I guess I spring broke, right? Is that the past tense of spring breaking?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We drove up to Toronto. I got to see, I haven't been home. That's my hometown. I hadn't been home in 26 years. I got to introduce Nita to my high school where I used to live, grew up, see how it had changed. Got to see my best friends from high school who are like my brothers still today. Got to spend some time hanging out with them, pulling Bob, probably one of the best group pranks ever on my friends. If you want to know more about that, folks, go find it on my Facebook page. Just go scroll back and find the story.
Reading the story, by the way, I was pranked a little bit. I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" But
everybody I have told since is pranked as well. They're all like, "Wait, tell me more about that." And I'm like, "Let me finish the story first." And then they realize, "Oh, wait,
look." It's hard to like say this, but they don't know the story. But it's so relatable if you've ever been across the border. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like I lived on a border town, so to me, like right when I read that, I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like, wow, but also like believable. You know?
Yeah. Folks, go back to my Facebook page. You can click back probably a few posts by the time you're hearing this and find the story of Chad and the border situation. Maybe I'll turn it into an episode with us one day here soon, Bob, and tell you some lesson that we can pull from it. Yeah, let's get to today's lessons. Now that we're catching up a little from our trip, my next episode, Bob, that I want to go over with you is also influenced from the trip. This one is not. This one is just something that I really wanted to talk about before we both went away. We had this conversation. We laid this out. We wrote some notes for it. You had Wi-Fi challenges one day to high hell. You actually had to go back to Comcast for improvement. Folks, that's how bad Bob's Wi-Fi was. He had to upgrade by going back to Comcast.
Never. I will die here with Ziply fiber, shaking my fist at Ziply before I ever go back to Comcast.
Okay, thank God. I didn't want to lose you back to Comcast when it came to it. So, Bob, we wanted to talk about something that everybody says all the time, which is consistency is king, right? It is the key to everything. It's consistency. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if it's health you're talking about, finance. Everyone always says consistency. You agree?
I'm not gonna lie. When you sent this to me a couple weeks ago, and because the title you have on this thing that you sent me is that consistency is killing you, and in my head, I'm like, what? Like, no, this is not a message we can bring to people. Like, we're always talking about being consistent, right? Like, I'm beating this into my children's head. Kids basketball, bingo card,
bingo.
But you know, like in our professional world, like we're constantly talking to people about showing up consistently, about prospecting consistently, about, you know, the momentum of building a business. Like the number one component is that you have to be there consistently. So yes, I buy into what you were saying. Like the way you started to frame this thing is, like it seems really important, but I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop here.
All right, Bob, have you ever seen someone work really, really hard and go absolutely nowhere?
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, folks, consistency is killing some of you, right? Because here's what people believe, Bob, that if I keep showing up, eventually it'll work. I mean, you've heard that before, right? I'm just going to keep doing it. Sooner or later, it's going to work.
Until you make it. Is that what they say, Chad?
Right? Effort will eventually win. Sooner or later, I will win because I'm putting out all this effort. And time solves all problems. You've heard these things, yes?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Bob, it's because it's motivating. It's because it's simple. It's because it makes us not have to think. Just keep doing. Don't think.
Yeah.
Just keep doing. Don't think. And Bob, effort without direction equals drift. Ever been on a boat that drifts?
Yeah.
You don't end up where you want to be. Right? You don't end up where you want to be.
When you fish in Eastern Washington, Chad, and it's really windy half the time, you definitely have been on a boat that drifts.
Yes. Yeah. And you end up somewhere.
Right? Against the shore, like beaten up, like, and then you got to row out or whatever a little ways away, and then you drift back to the shore. Yeah, it's horrible.
There you go, right? Habit formation from the University College of London. We've talked about them many times. They did a lot of research on this. The repetition builds automatic behavior regardless of the outcome. Let me say that again. Regardless of the outcome. Bob, is smoking a healthy habit?
No.
Would you say smokers are consistent, though?
Yes.
Smoking is killing you. Right? It's a habit, whether the outcome is positive or negative, folks. And that's what we're talking about here today with consistency is killing you. We're not saying you shouldn't be consistent. We're saying how many of you are being consistent on the incorrect things because you're not going down the right path towards the right results.
I like, as I think back all through my career, there's a lot of times where this has been me. Sometimes it's, I don't know. I feel like maybe really early on in my career, it was like almost like a self-sabotage thing. I don't know back then that I knew I was doing that, but it's like, I'm doing what they told me to do. I'm going to do, see, this ain't working. Right. Like, but I'll keep doing it. And, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a thing. Chad, I see a lot of people in our world because like in our sales world, we're very like there's these barometers or kind of benchmark standards, right? Yep. And I do believe that there are some people that will just make the effort, and when they don't get the result, then they immediately go, see, this doesn't work. Because they bought into, well, I did the repetition, I showed up consistently like they said, but see, it's not working for me. And to your point, it doesn't make them investigate why or think about it or dive in or try to unwrap it or figure out like, well, where are you maybe underperforming or you don't have the skills necessary, right? So yeah, this makes sense in my head.
You know, when I went on my healthy plan before I turned 50, right? I wanted to be the healthiest I was ever going to be when I turned 50. And that's when I had the abs, like all the way down, right? Abs. I was all the way there. The first thing my coach said to me was, stop running. And I was like, wait, I'm consistently running every day to attempt to get healthier and healthier and healthier and healthier. And he said, great, that's not going to get you abs though. And if you want abs, that consistency is killing you. You need to be consistent doing this instead of that. And Bob, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. And everybody always says, oh, practice makes perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect.
I read this or I saw this. I saw this yesterday to the point of like perfect practice. Did you see the guy that, I think it's the Boston Marathon. You see the guy that won the Boston Marathon? He ran it in like 2 hours.
Set the world record, 2:01. Yeah, back-to-back defending champions of it. Yeah.
So that guy does all of his training runs on Strava. And so a guy was like breaking down all of his training runs and was showing like how this guy practices, right, Chad? Like he would run, during a given week, there were all these runs where he was running the mile in over 9 minutes, like these really slow runs. And he was saying probably like if some of our audience is training for a marathon, like they do these days where it's a little bit of a lighter work, right? You're not running quite as fast, but this guy was doing it even slower than others. And so it was, I don't know, it was an interesting kind of look that, yes, he was being consistent every day. He got up and ran, but he was really maximizing how he was training, right? Yes. With just this massive variation and different, techniques for growing his endurance or whatever. So I thought that was really interesting because as a novice, not the guy that just set the world record, right? I would just think, oh, you just be consistent. You just get up and you just run every day. And that's probably what most people that end up doing a marathon, let's say once, that's the way they train, is they just get up and run every day, versus this guy that, wanted to be the world record holder, which he is, really maximizing his training and understanding. It's not just about consistency.
That right, Bob, you're right. I mean, people are training, they're running every day, which is not the right way to train for that sort of thing, which is why I've told people, if you want to run a marathon, reach out. I'll help you build a training program for it. Bob, here's the thing. How many people have you seen in our industry, forget other industries, but people you've seen closely, who hire poorly again and again and again and again and again? Guess what? They're being consistent with their hiring practices.
Yeah, they hire one new person every month.
Right? They're being consistent. They have poor hiring, and that becomes the culture of their business, that people don't stay, or there's all these bad people that work at a company. What about people who have weak standards? You know them. You're tracking that kind of stuff in the industry at a high level. They repeat their weak standards. That becomes their identity, right? Consistency is killing you if you're not paying attention. And I love this from Anders Ericsson, that repetition alone does not improve performance. Feedback and adjustment does. So have consistent feedback and adjustment to what you're doing. That's where you should be consistent as much as anything, Bob.
I work like kind of inside our sales organization. And if you listen, you know this, but I know exactly, like on average, and I'm talking across thousands of people, Chad, right? Across 5,000 people, exactly how many contacts it takes us to set an appointment. And I am constantly looking and on the out, like trying to find somebody that's doing it not close to that. Like it's 33 contacts to set an appointment. Anytime I see somebody that's taking 50, Chad, immediately what I know they need is feedback and adjustment.
Yep.
Right. We do, we've got call recording concepts. And I'm like, look, see this person right here. You need to go to them and have them bring you their next phone call that they thought was pretty good, but didn't end up in an appointment. Because I bet if you give them feedback on that, if you listen to it, like you will help them become a better appointment setter. Like, yeah. And by the way, sometimes the leader doesn't always recognize that. They just think, oh, they'll figure it out, right? They'll just keep going. They'll grind through it. And the reality is most people can stay consistent for a while, but if they're not getting results, they will burn out. They will stop. They will look for a different course.
Absolutely. If a salesperson's making 100 calls a day with the wrong messaging, because they're consistently using the wrong message, they're going to have consistently no results, right? And then they're going to just give up. Yet they were consistent, right? If you do the same workout every single day, you're not going to have progress. You're going to adapt. Your body's going to adapt and say, well, the muscle's not growing any bigger, or my speed's not going to get any faster, or whatever that is. Consistency can be killing us if we are not having that feedback and adjustment to the consistent activities we should do, making sure we're achieving the results we're looking for. So let's talk about consistency versus calibration, Bob. Okay? So consistency, we can define as
just repeating a behavior.
There you go.
Just
right.
doing
Simple.
that thing again and again and again and again and again.
Calibration is?
I mean, taking a look at the results and going and making tweaks to that behavior, essentially, right? Like if we're repeating something over and over and it's not working, we've got to change that thing we're doing over and over. So, I mean, I would say calibration is like adjusting my behavior based on the outcome that I'm getting or I want or I'm not getting.
Okay, so let's go to your sport, basketball. Okay. Yeah. We can have the argument who's the greatest of all time, right? I'm going to always tell you I'm not the basketball person you are, yet I'm always going to say it's Michael Jordan.
Not an argument. Always, yeah. We're not going to argue.
Always going to be Michael Jordan. We don't have any
arguments.
Right? Or in this situation, I will allow Kobe to be a part of the conversation because the two of them are known for their work ethic. Yeah. Right? That's what made them better than everybody else. So they have consistency. Kobe showed up how long before everybody else, Bob?
Oh, I mean, there's stories like from the Olympic team where Kobe would be going to the gym in the morning when these guys were coming home from the bar, from the club. He'd be going in at 3:30 a.m. and they'd be coming home from the club.
Okay. Yet when Kobe or Michael were having an issue or going up against somebody who was, a defensive threat to them at that time in the league, they didn't just stay consistent and always do the same thing. Michael knew, we're playing the Bulls. It's going to be a full contact game. I've got to adjust this, adjust that. There's still the consistency of I got to the gym 2 hours before everybody else. I made my 100 free throws before we started the game and I considered practice done. Yet I'm still calibrating other things and making the adjustments. We need to understand that. Am I getting it right from Michael and Kobe and what we know about these two masters?
For sure. I mean, there's a famous story of Kobe, like they lose a game on a shot that he misses. This is in his rookie year. He actually misses the same shot at the end of the game 3 different times. Like he misses it to it's tie game. He misses it. They could have won. Later, I think in overtime, it's a tie game. He misses it. They could have won. They don't. And then in like double overtime, he misses the shot and they lose. And so he goes like that night and he just practices that shot. I want to say he puts up 5,000 makes of that shot or whatever, right? And 2 weeks later in a game, he's got the same shot to win the game and he makes the shot. So yeah, like these guys were calibrating based on I know I'm playing Patrick Ewing tonight and it's going to be a bunch of pump fake step throughs or whatever. So yeah, I mean these guys were obviously consistent, but they were definitely working on the things to continue to elevate their game. They weren't just showing up and shooting, wide open jump shots all day.
Bob, were you a Blockbuster guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Did it take you a while to use Netflix or were you an early adopter for Netflix?
No, I was definitely not an early adopter of Netflix. I mean, when I was a little kid, there was a Blockbuster at Fairwood, the little shopping center up, but it was always like really packed. I mean, this is like in the height of Blockbuster, right? There would always be packed. There would never be your movies in there. There'd be, 50 facings of the movie and it was all gone. You'd sit there and wait for somebody to return their thing. But they had a Hollywood Video, I believe was what we had also kind of in the neighboring complex. So I feel like I always ended up renting from Hollywood Video. I'd go into Blockbuster wanting to rent from there, but they never had my movie.
All right. Are either of those companies still around, Hollywood or Blockbuster?
No.
Right. No. They were consistent, right? I'm going to have 50 movies and when the movie's not as popular anymore, we'll sell them at a cheap price because people will want to own them. We were consistent. Netflix came along and Netflix sent you the DVD right to your house. I never ordered a DVD, right? I never did it that way. Netflix said, oh, wait, this needs to change. And then they became the streaming power that they are today. If they were consistent and just said, hey, we're sending you the DVD, you're sending it back. We're sending you the DVD, you're sending it back. If you don't send it back, then we don't care. You keep it. We'll bill you this. And that's what's going to, okay. Yet they adjusted. They calibrated when they saw the indicators. Consistency can kill you if you're not paying attention to what's going on. So, Bob, let's talk about the 4 main reasons that people just won't adjust and they just swear by consistency up against the wall again and again and again. What's number 1 on the list, Bob?
I mean, it makes sense. This one's number 1, ego. It's just, for some of us, man, it's just hard to admit that thing's not working, especially if we put, and this maybe rolls into number 2, but especially if we put a whole bunch of thought, Chad, and a whole bunch of work into building that thing or creating that process or whatever, right? But it's sometimes real hard to just admit, like, the decision I made to what I decided I was going to do consistently was maybe wrong.
Gosh, is that possible? Is it possible that you were wrong?
No.
I mean, according to your wife, right?
It's only been one time I've ever been wrong, and it was that one time I thought I was wrong. That
There
was
you
the
go.
one time I was wrong.
Yes, I might have to use that one later. All right, number 2 on the list. And Bob, I'll save you on this one so you don't have to attempt to pronounce their names that I have here, right? From research from Kahneman and Tversky, we have number 2, which is the sunk cost fallacy. And we stick with things because we've invested already, not because of future return. How many times have you, Bob, stuck with a stock because you put money into it and you just won't sell it because I've invested, it's going to pay off one of these days for me?
I got this one stupid stock in my Robinhood that, like, it doesn't even have value anymore. They leave it in there.
Right. I have a few
like
of those.
a zero thing. And I'm like,
Kinney.
you can't sell it. You can't trade it. I'm like, why do they keep showing me this? I
You
should
know
have
why?
sold it a long time. They want to remind me that the sunk cost fallacy is a real thing, I guess, is what they do.
Yes. And thank you, Ben Kinney, for those tips on those stocks who vanished. Yes, we stick with things because we've already invested. How many, I hate saying this, how many marriages stick with it because we've already put this many number of years in it, not because of what the future return is, and both people know that we've grown apart over all these times? How many people stick with a job they hate, but they've been there for 25 years and I'm going to retire and get the watch, right? They're not really looking at the future return of what they could do. They're looking at, I've already put this much into it, right? I'm finishing school because I've already put 18 more years into it after college with all these degrees and stuff, right? Folks, sunk cost fallacy. You stick with things because you've invested too much. You're not looking at future return. Bob, what's the 3rd reason we stay stuck and consistent when we should adjust?
Identity attachment. Like, this is who I am, right? I feel this one a little bit around like drinking. Like, I don't drink anymore, Chad. It's not that I wouldn't have called myself an alcoholic. Like, I'm not a guy that if I have one drink, I'm off the wagon. I'll occasionally have a beer. Like, we went to on the vacation, we went to what's it called? What's the Jim Carrey cable guy movie? The Medieval Times. We went to Medieval Times.
Yeah.
Have you seen in the cable guy that go to Medieval Times?
I was waiting to see where you were going. Yep.
We went to Medieval Times, and I had a beer there. Why? Because you drink it out of a stein, and you're like, we're watching horses and jousting, and but like all through my 20s and most of the way into my 30s, like if I was out socially, I was drinking. Why? Because that's who I am. I like to have a good time. I'm having fun. I'm gonna have a couple beers, and like stopping doing that was, that was a consistent. That was a consistent behavior that was not serving me well, if I'm being completely honest, right? But changing it was like, but that's who I don't want to be the boring guy when we go out, or right? Like I don't want to feel honestly, like for a while I didn't want to feel anxiety in social situations, which is essentially what I was probably drinking to mask, right? So anyway, like the identity attachment one, I could definitely, that is an example in my life where, it probably left me hanging on to a behavior longer than I should have.
Yeah, Bob, I can name 3 people. I'm not going to, yet I can name 3 people, and you might be able to name 3 people who are in either the legal or medical profession that never wanted to be. They were pushed into it because of parents or situation, right? And they became a doctor or they became a lawyer or something like that. And now it's who they are. And they can't imagine not being a doctor or a lawyer because that's their identity. So they're just consistent at it and they won't make the change because it's who they think they are. So think about that, folks, right? Sometimes we don't do it because Bob had said at the beginning of the ego, I said I'm going to do this. And sometimes it's the exact opposite. We're not doing it because, well, this is who I am and I can't give up who I think I am and make that change. Fourth reason is what we call the false grit culture. I'm a big believer in the false grit culture. It's what my TED Talk really covered. That was the attack I was going after.
We did an episode kind of breaking that down a little bit, for sure.
Where people are just pushing harder because that's what's celebrated in the world today. And adjusting feels like quitting, and no one wants to be considered a quitter. Yet, how many things has Ben Kinney quit so that he could focus on the things that took him where he needed to go?
Do you hear that, Ben? I think Chad just called you a quitter. Like, I know you don't listen to us anymore. You left us high and dry. But that's what I heard.
That's what Bob heard. Awesome. All right. So, Bob, let's give our audience something that they can, run through this filter. We wrote it out. We wrote out some questions for them. So let's go. Run through this, Bob. Bob doesn't have it in front of him anymore.
Okay, hold on. So, Chad, you threw it over to me. Here's what happened in the middle of what we're doing right here.
All your notes
but no, my Google reset on me. And Google just was like, oh, now you got to log in and put your password in. And I'm like, what? So I'm over here doing it. And of course, you very rarely throw it over to me like that, like you just did. So why don't you take it while I pull this up?
I'll take it back then, Google, while Bob's logging back into everything. All right. So, Bob, here's what we call the consistency filter on our side here. And these are the questions to ask yourself. 1, is this activity producing results? Is this activity producing results? 2, has anything improved over the last 30 days? 3, would I start this again today if given the chance? 4, what would I change if I had to improve this quickly? Okay. Is this activity producing results? Has anything improved in the last 30 days? Would I start this again today if given the opportunity? And what would I change if I had to improve this fast? Now, Bob, here's the thing. You got to keep consistency. What you have to change are the other pieces to the puzzle. Right? If it's not producing results, what do you need to do? Well, I need to consistently add a few more calls, or I need to get better at that script so I'm having that dialogue, or I need to change what I'm doing in the gym. I'm not going to change the consistency of going to the gym. I'm going to change the workout of what I'm doing at the gym. I'm not going to stop making the calls. I'm going to learn a new script for the situation so that my calls have better results.
I'm going to have somebody better than me listen to it and give me advice on what they would have done. I'm going to practice on our AI call coach. Shout out to our AI team here.
Yeah, for those who are actually in the organization and have access to that. And if you're wondering what Bob's talking about, reach out to Bob, right? Get a hold of Bob.
No. It's always reach out to Chad. You guys reach out to Chad.
All right, reach out to Chad. All right. So, folks, where do these things show up? Bob, where's one area we've covered it a few times? Where does one area that we know consistency killing us shows up? What's one area?
I think relationships, sometimes my wife and I get in that rut of the same, the same conversations, the same surface level addressing of problems. There's definitely times where the relationship becomes consistent to the point of being stale. We really use our vacations to shake that up and get to have some longer conversations while the kids are playing at the pool and stuff. So that's one for me where I know that I have to be purposeful about not letting that consistency be the wrong kind of consistency.
Yep. That's a great point. I'll say it again real quick because Bob figures this is one I'm going to health, right? We plateau in our health. We become consistent, yet it only gets us here. And then we just stay consistent instead of taking the consistency and adjusting what we're doing to break through plateaus. Bob, another area
Definitely
of
see
life.
this in leadership. We see this in leadership. Like I've been very lucky for the last decade to be led by a guy that's leadership has evolved. But I've been in other organizations where, if I didn't look back at that organization now, 10 years later, I'm like, that's a pretty similar organization that hasn't moved much. That leadership, hadn't been a bunch of growth in that leadership. So I think that would be one where it can be dangerous to just be the same consistent leader and not see growth. It's dangerous because it caps the people around you, I think, the most.
You're right. Another area, of course, is business, right? We talked about it enough in the thing, whether you're hiring, your sales results, whatever they're going to be. Consistency can kill you if you're not paying attention. Let me say this, and then Bob, I want you to close it out, but I'm going to share this line I had here that is, consistency does not guarantee success. It guarantees results. Make sure they're the results you actually want. Consistency does not guarantee success. It guarantees results. And make sure they're the results you actually want. Bob, close it out for us, clean it up for him, and let's put it to bed.
I mean, it doesn't guarantee success, right? But man, Chad, if you've got something consistently that's working, like do more of that thing, right? But if there's something you're doing consistently that's not serving you, or you're not getting the kind of results you'd expect, or there's some way for you to figure out what a baseline is and you are not at that baseline, then adjust fast. Like, don't let one of those reasons that we talked about be the reason why you just keep doing that thing that's keep grinding away at that thing that's not getting you the results that you realize you're capable of, or like, adjust fast.
Good points. Good
and
points.
Be consistent again. Then be consistent again, Chad.
Absolutely, right? Then you be consistent again. Bob and I took a vacation. We took a break. Guess what? We're consistent again. The podcast is going to be bringing you new episodes. You should be consistent again, knowing when those episodes drop so that you're listening to them, whatever is consistent for you, because we might be talking to ourselves most of the time, yet sometimes we drop something that's worth listening to from some of you. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you're sharing these episodes. And maybe we'll get Bob back to reading a review on every episode moving forward and get consistent with that once more. Until our next episode, folks, and boy, I know it's going to be a good one. Do good.